Hello everyone, DA here with an ultimate beginner's guide to choosing your melee weapon in Warframe. Now while some of the weapons are a lot powerful than others, it is also good to understand that the weapon type and the stance is what makes using your melee weapon special. Melee weapons are currently broken into categories, more than 20 styles in Warframe, and I know that can be very overwhelming. But in my way, I will encourage you to combine them and break them down into just whips, daggers, heavy melee, which is heavy weapons, swords and shields, dual weapons, throwing weapons, and sparring weapons, which are the ones for punching and kicking. As a beginner, the amount of damage you deal with your melee weapon shouldn't be your ultimate focus. You will master all of those later on in the future and later on in the game. You always want to focus on your attack speed and the type of damage each weapon deals. Most melee weapons in Warframe will somewhat tell you what kind of damage they deal, and it is often based on how they look. So you can detect a lot of those just by looking at it and also by looking at the stats. Now, if you're not sure and you've checked the stats and you're still not sure, you can also ask a lot of people either in the chat section or some of your friends or people in a Discord chat like the one I have. After all that is done and perfected, now you want to move to your modding setup and the modding of your melee weapon. You have what is called a stance mod, and this is going to determine your fighting technique, your fighting style, and all your fighting poses whenever you use your melee weapon. The rest is going to be the variation of mods to change how effective your melee weapon is. After all that has been mastered and after you've taken a look at that, now you want to understand that you want your weapon to be as fast as possible, and you will have several mods like Fury, Berserker to help you out with a lot of those things. Because remember, like I said, damage is not going to be your first priority when it comes to using your melee weapon as a beginner in Warframe. Next thing is what most Warframe players will often call IPS. IPS will stand for Impact, Puncture, and Slash. Now you shouldn't have to worry about the damage type. As I said earlier, you're still new and you shouldn't have to worry about a lot of those right now. But if the enemy looks like a robot and looks like a box, then Impact will be your damage type to take care of that enemy. If it looks fleshy, then it's going to be Slash, and if it looks rugged, it's going to be Puncture. So this basically describes your corpus, Greeneer, and your infested faction, and that is going to be one of the things that you will have to look for later on in the game. But let's go into the earlier phases of you just being a beginner. You want to go for mostly Slash. This will kill a lot of the enemies in the earlier stages of the game, and once you have mastered those basic techniques and basic things, then you want to start looking into mods that will make your job easier. Now it's time for you to start watching YouTube videos on builds and things that are a little bit advanced, because now you have mastered the basics, and that is very important to go through the basics first before you start looking at the builds. But remember, melee builds are always evolving in Warframe, and they will always depend on your Warframe type. So if you look at a lot of build videos and you wonder why yours is not performing a certain way, is because a lot of melee weapons will function differently when you pair them together with a different Warframe. So it is very important to know that. And also, don't think everybody's melee builds or everybody's build is going to be better than yours, because builds are often suited to whatever your playstyle is. Now, before you use your melee on an enemy, try using your primary and secondary weapons first, because that will be very important so you won't have to engage in a close combat. Let your melee be your last resort. And when facing an enemy in a melee combat in Warframe, you must dictate the terms of engagement. You must use terrain, elevation, and also your Warframe powers to your advantage. Last but not the least, experience is going to be your best teacher in Warframe. Try any weapon you can craft and don't rush the Warframe experience. Please take your time. That will ensure that you enjoy the game, and that will also ensure that you don't burn out. Thank you very much for watching this video. Expect more Ultimate Beginner's Guide in the future, and if you like it, please leave a thumbs up, share this video, and also subscribe to the channel for more Warframe. And as always, it is DA signing out. I'll see you guys in the next one.